Hey, I'm Caleb Giddings with Rossi USA, and I'm here today to give you some basic tips on maintenance on your R95 lever action rifle. The R95 is Rossi's new lever action platform in centerfire rifle calibers 30-30 and 45-70. It's available in a variety of different barrel lengths and configurations. This model that I have right here with me is our classic 20-inch 30-30. Now, when you're talking about lever guns, we need to talk about cleaning and we need to talk about some very basic maintenance. How do you clean a lever gun? Really just like you would any other rifle, except for me personally, I will use a bore snake to clean this instead of a barrel rod. And the reason I want to use a bore snake for this is, again, so that I can clean it in the same direction that the projectile travels down the barrel. So I wouldn't have it in a vise or anything like this. I would actually have it out of the vise. I would have the action open, and I would drop the bore snake in through the action and pull it out the barrel. That way I can get the barrel cleaned and free of fouling, debris, and stuff like that. And just like any rifle, I want to make sure that I'm not removing all of the fouling, because in my experience, this gun likes to have been shot a little bit before it turns in its best groups. Then we want to talk about lubrication. Where do we want to apply lubrication? Well, again, we want to hit any part where we're going to have major metal on metal contact. On the bolt, there's a part right here on the top where I would normally apply a little bit of grease to ensure that the action runs smoothly. There's not a lot that I actually want to put lubrication on because of the number of really fine small parts in here, and I don't want to attract dust and dirt that could foul the action on this gun. Now, the last thing that I want to do, and in my opinion, actually one of the most important things that I want to do on the R95 is check my screws. The R95 is a traditional lever action design, which means these screws are incredibly important to holding the gun together and making sure it runs correctly. There's one screw on the side of the receiver that's closest to me that I'm just going to check the tightness on. And then I'm going to check the tightness on all of the screws over here on the right side of the receiver, starting with the screw in the actual lever. This screw holds the lever in the rifle, and this is going to be a very critical screw to make sure that you're keeping at an appropriate level of hand tightness. I'm then going to check the two screws here by the stock, make sure that they're at an appropriate level of tightness. Then the screw forward in the receiver. And then I'm going to check the screw back here that actually holds the stock to the receiver of the rifle. Last but not least, I'm going to flip the rifle over. And I'm going to check the screw on the bottom of the receiver to make sure that it's nice and tight as well. This screw is especially important to keep tight because if this screw loosens up or backs out, it will affect the rifle feeding the next round onto the ramp so that you can chamber it. Once I've checked tightness on all my screws, I'm going to go ahead and flip the rifle back over, pull it out of the mount, and I'm going to check the action 2 or 3 times to make sure it's cycling smoothly. Then I'm going to check to make sure that the manual safety works by pressing it through to put it in the safe position and then lowering the hammer onto the actual safety. The hammer should not contact the firing pin back here at the rifle. To take the safety off, I'll pull the hammer back to the rear and press it back through to put the weapon back on fire. Last thing that we're going to do is check the action one more time and dry fire the rifle in a safe direction to make sure that the hammer falls. That is it for basic maintenance on a lever action rifle. One of the beautiful things about rifles of this type is that they're relatively simple to maintain and they run really, really well so long as you do your part and keep your screws tight.